everybody. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. Any visitor comments? Jeff?
My name is Jeff Smith. I live on Upper Church Street. This will be the 7th meeting where this pilot policy is discussed. It's been incredibly annoying and shameful to watch how some of our town leadership has conducted themselves in this process. Many of the Select Board and Finance Committee members have attended these meetings without having fully read the policy. The questions they asked in the meetings betrayed any notion of preparedness, thoughtfulness, or fairness. They even tried to subvert the process by attempting an unannounced vote on a half-baked substitute policy during a workshop meeting instead of acting in good faith to amend the proposed policy. Mr. Volheim was on this very board from 2001 to 2013. He openly opposes written agendas and meeting minutes, and he describes himself as an anarchist. It's virtually impossible to find out the details of how this board operated during his tenure, as most of those meetings have no recorded minutes at all. In 2005, the town assessor put forward a written recommendation for computing a fair pilot payment for Eagle Hill School that would have potentially brought in nearly $1 million a year for the town services. Instead, Mr. Volheim is proud of the verbal agreement he had with P.J. McDonald, which lacked oversight or accountability. To this day, he still has not answered my public information request regarding the specifics of that agreement, and there's no evidence any payments were ever made until after the current written agreement was finally put in place in 2014. Upon a fair reading of the 2014 pilot agreement with Eagle Hill School, it quickly becomes evident that it was extremely one-sided, entirely benefiting Eagle Hill School. Even with that advantage, the CFO at Eagle Hill School decided the assessor's computations were incorrect in fiscal year 2022 and unilaterally reduced the pilot payment that year to $16,000 in order to claw back past overpayments to the town according to his computations. Notably, that same year, Eagle Hill School paid their top 2 employees over $1 million in combined compensation. Because Eagle Hill School didn't seek approval from the Select Board in writing per the terms of their own agreement for the reduced payments, that pilot agreement should now be considered to be in breach and should be entirely renegotiated. I have no confidence in Mr. Volheim to be a constructive part of this process, and in my opinion, Mr. Volheim should save the entire town a lot of trouble and resign from all town positions effective immediately. He has cost the town quite enough. The problems that our town is currently dealing with did not arrive overnight. Instead, they are due to the results of decades of incompetence, misfeasance, and malfeasance. One could fairly call this management by crisis and the good old boys club.
All right, I've had enough.
There are plenty of problems
Jeff?
regarding deals with Eagle Hill School.
Jeffrey, I've had enough. I've heard enough. You can have a seat. You're not going to sit there and bash the board on my time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other visitor comments? Bill?
Just a reminder that tomorrow night, Tuesday, at the Townhouse in Hardwick, the planning board's holding a hearing on the proposed bylaw changes and one new bylaw. Don't expect a big meeting, but everyone's welcome. And then following that, the board will be incorporating perhaps some new ideas based on the hearing, and then we'll schedule a special town meeting sometime in a month or so.
Is that here, or did you say the townhouse?
Yes,
I'm sorry.
the townhouse off the common.
6:30?
6:30 p.m.
Okay. So the townhouse at 6:30.
Right.
And that's for the hearing. Thank you. Anyone else? All right, new business. Appoint Justine as interim treasurer collector.
So we are going through some staffing changes right now. Our treasurer collector has resigned. We are working with Sarah Hunter from Mass Munifin, Hardwick resident, former treasurer collector in the town of Hardwick, who has been helping us out, getting us straight away. with a lot of our financials, but there needs to be a town employee that is bondable and able to sign certain documents, because Sarah is a consultant for us. No extra compensation, no nothing. It is just simply to get us through this interim period until we can secure a permanent treasure collector.
Any questions?
So it's really just a signatory thing.
Yeah. And helping out as needed, but yeah.
It's temporary.
Yes.
until we fill
Oh,
this.
yes.
Yeah.
I do not want to be the treasure collector.
Yeah.
No, I get that.
Can you take a motion?
I move that we appoint Justine Caggiano to interim treasurer collector.
I'll second it.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And Sarah is here.
You snuck in. Take
I
it
just
easy. So I don't know if anyone remembers Sarah, but this is Sarah Hunter. She'll be helping us out until we can obviously post for the position and find somebody. So if anyone wants to come say hi while she's here, she'll be here sporadically in office, but helping remotely as well. So thank you.
There's some seats right up front here.
Okay, first look at the budget.
So you will see at your place, there is the FY26 budget book. Each department has its own section. As you will notice, there is you'll see a couple years back, and then you'll see the department recommendation, or department request, my recommendation, and then a space for the Select Board and Finance Committee once we get to that part. So my goal for these books is after town meeting every year, I'll collect them from the board members, Finance Committee as well, and then we'll recycle them every year because all of the departments will still be the same. And that way every year the Finance Committee and Select Board can have a packet to get them through to town meeting. Something that I want to note is, I did go through with our accountant, I did go through our chart of accounts. So there actually is a couple new departments that weren't there in the past, like we have a municipal office building now department. There was just some line items that were in some random spots, and I just thought for transparency and for organization that we could clean them up. The Select Board has their own department, obviously, but now we also have a child administrator department as well. I've been working really closely with the accountant and the assessor. So here, that's just, an introduction to what we've been doing thus far.
Okay.
Well, at some point, will the spreadsheet go in here of the entire budget?
Yeah.
To show where we stand? And
Yes, there are so many unknowns right now.
It's just-
Insurance, schools. But
It's good
just-
to see that at any given point.
Right.
So if that
I can provide
yeah,
that.
okay.
Um,
I'm sure right now it looks like we probably have to do some work on it, but even just to see that and then to see how we progress with trying to get that.
Yes, and I had a call last week with Pathfinder, so I have been, working to try to get some solid numbers. Because I do just have like a certain percentage in there as a placeholder for right now. It's really tough. We are really bare bones. There are places where the cuts were made. You'll see my recommendation. However, we are really bare bones. And I just think it's important to remember we need to make sure our departments have their tools to be successful.
Right.
But when we're this bare bones and we're not bringing in, revenue or other things, it's just, we are in a tough spot.
Yeah. Budget season's always fun. Well, thank you for this. This is
Thank you.
great. I know, we're meeting with FinCom in March.
Yes,
Right.
so I already, so Finance Committee yes, in March. Finance Committee did have a meeting, I did attend that meeting, they did have some questions. They are meeting with the Police Department, Highway Department, and Fire Department at some subsequent meetings. I don't know the dates off the top of my head. But yeah, then the Select Board and Finance Committee will have a joint meeting in March. I have a meeting with the Chair of the Finance Committee on Friday, so we are working hand in hand.
Perfect. Thank you. Anyone have any questions about that?
No.
Okay. Capital Planning Committee?
It's me.
Okay, you want to come up?
Yeah, sure.
Come on up.
I'll just take the seat right here so we can.
Yeah?
This is our third meeting with this Board of Selectmen and the Select Board, I should say. And the purpose of this is to give you an update of where we are and what we're going to do. This will be the first year that we, since we've got our group back together, where we'll have a responsibility to report to the town at the annual report and give them some recommendations of where we're going. So what we did was we have 5 items that we would like to talk to you about and just let you know about them. And from there, if you have questions, we can either schedule another meeting some other time. I don't want to take up the meeting just going over the details, but
Okay.
I think it's important that we go, the capital planning committee goes to the town saying not what we'd like to see, it's what we are going to be doing. So that give you this little heads up of what we're thinking, and then maybe there's some kind of action that we can take. And we made some recommendations here, what could be done between now and the annual town meeting. So if you want, I'll give you the 5 and I'll try to paraphrase it as quickly as possible. So, on February 2nd, we voted unanimously for these 5 recommendations. Coincidentally, the first and foremost is the Gilbertville fire hydrant system. The hydrant system's source of water is a 750,000 gallon cistern, commonly known as Green Waters, located on the side of Google Mountain. The cistern has a serious drop in capacity, likely due to a fire main leak, and the fire department has been intervening when levels are critically low by routinely pumping river water back up to the cistern. Not only does this compromise the effectiveness of the hydrant system, but also this hydrant system is the source of sprinkler systems for 3 commercial residential enterprises in Gilbertville, something that we didn't know until we started digging into it. The Joslin Road cistern also supplies water, sprinkler water, to the Salem building. The other 3 buildings on this side of on the other side of the river is being supplied by the system that's really in trouble right now. So,
I don't mean to interrupt, but
Sure.
just to pause. Is that we have someone coming out on Friday to evaluate?
Yep, we have
For
a,
the leak, yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we just want to make sure that the understanding is that the current method of pumping water to replenish the loss of the cistern is very inefficient, presents a risk of limited capacity in case of an emergency. The cistern has not been full the entire year of 2024. So it's just combined with the issue of several hydrants, and I believe there are 8 hydrants that are not currently serviceable in the system, and there were 46
46
total, 8 of which don't
In
work.
Gilbertville.
In Gilbertville, right. We just recommend that the town assign responsibility to the appropriate entity and make a resolution of this situation
Which I
as a
think-
number 1.
I do think
it
we're
is.
working on
Yeah,
it,
and I
so I
think,
think-
I'm
yeah.
hoping that when we
Yeah.
report back to the town,
Yeah.
we fixed it. So
Good.
that it'll be our number 1 recommendation, which
Yeah.
means that at this stage, if you need money, the finance committee will get our report.
Yeah,
The finance
to-
committee will have already, capital planning would
Yeah.
have already approved it, finance committee would already have approved it, and it sits
Yeah,
in
good.
whoever's the responsible authority.
Okay.
That's how that works.
Madam Chair.
Yep.
And we also, like we've talked about in previous meetings, we received money
For the
from the state. We
right.
received money for 3 hydrant
Correct.
replacements. We have the parts. We are just waiting for them to get repaired.
So that would bring us down to 5 that still would need.
Yeah, and some of those don't need to be replaced, they
Yeah,
just need to be
okay.
fixed. So
Right.
I don't know how much it'll cost,
Yeah,
but I think the big problem is if there is a leak in the main and it's
Yeah.
dropping anywhere from 25 or 30 gallons per minute, it doesn't take long for that cistern to empty
To
out.
get- yeah.
And we put some interim things in there to be able to measure the level and to know how many gallons of water the system has, so that if there was a fire or there was a need, we would be covered. At least if the fire chief knows how much water is in the cistern, then he knows how much water
Right,
he's got to play
Yeah.
with. The second recommendation regards the police station. So the police department currently located in and shared with New Braintree was intended as a short-term means of addressing the loss of the municipal building as home to this community's police station. While engineering plans and purchasing of property at the old Streeter facility on the Lower Road were completed, It has been 9 years with no action to advance this initiative. We suggest the town or the select board create an advisory group to make recommendations on how to proceed with the location and logistics on how to and where to locate the police department. We would recommend that the advisory board include select board members, finance committee members, capital planning committee, planning board, police department representative, maybe even an ad hoc citizen or two. This committee should be charged with making a recommendation to the select board in 100 days or less, and action be taken to proceed with or modify whatever recommendation is made, and further advance the process in an expeditious manner. Third one. Tree removal behind the municipal building. Town-owned property behind the municipal building has several large trees that present a risk to the municipal building and to the personnel and visitors that frequent it. We suggest that responsibility be assigned to the appropriate town entity and efforts be made to immediately remove the trees and assess the condition of the retaining wall behind the municipal building at the same time.
Thought we were working on that.
Yeah, we said
Okay.
don't mind. So we did get, again, another earmark from the state, and part of that $50,000, we're getting quotes to remove the trees. I don't know anything about a retaining wall,
Yeah.
but we are getting quotes to remove the trees
Yeah.
in the spring.
There's lots of people, lots of companies that could remove those, and there's probably some commercial value in some of those trees. And I understand now that the Stone Church is going about the same research to find somebody to remove those trees because their insurance company has made it clear to them that the
They're a
steeple
hazard, yeah.
it's a hazard to the steeple. So it's good timing to be able to address all of this at once. And we own the property all the way up to Birch Street, so
Right.
access to those trees should be
Yeah.
pretty easy. And again, that the money would, the capital planning says spend it if
Yeah.
it covers us. It'll go back to the finance committee to be
Well,
able
it
to.
sounds like
We have to get 3 quotes, so we're
Yeah,
in
but
the
you don't know
process.
where you're gonna get the money, all I'm saying
I
is.
do have the
that-
money.
We have grant money.
You have the.
I got a
Yes.
state earmark for that.
Provide, yeah,
Yes.
okay, good, great.
That with the hydrants
Yep.
is what it was for.
Hardwick Elementary School. Last year, we were informed by the Quabbin Regional School Committee that the 28-year-old roof of Hardwick Elementary School needs repair and replacement. The Capital Planning Committee toured the school to assess the situation, and indeed, it needs replacement in the next 2 years. While touring the school, it was also pointed out the windows of the school are also at the end of their life expectancy, and they no longer provide an efficient energy barrier, having lost their two-pane effectiveness. We will stay in touch, that's the capital planning, would stay in touch with the Quabbin Regional School District on this situation and advise them to begin the process of notifying the State School Building Authority of these needs. The State School Building Authority oversees engineering, project management, and grant application, so early intervention is to the town's advantage, as significant grant money is available with some smaller portion of community matching required. Capital Planning Committee feels that compelled to advise the town in advance and suggest that plans should be in place to finance this endeavor as we approach this in the next year or two. Again, something doesn't have to be done, it's nice to have a little advance notice instead of having an emergency every
Yeah,
time.
we've known that's been coming.
We've had enough of that.
Yeah.
Fireproofing town records. The town record keeping is somewhat organized, but it by no means is protected from flood or fire damage. Records such as maps, easements, and other town documents, some going back to the 1800s, many of which are irreplaceable and are at risk. Our select board is responsible for providing safekeeping of town records, which is mandated by Massachusetts State Law, Chapter 66. The Capital Planning Committee has advised the town clerk to proceed with exploring options for storage and provide plans and cost estimates for protecting such town records, and after doing so, provide the relative information to start the capital appropriation.
Madam Chair?
Yeah.
Because we were kind of worried about this year for the town hall and the hydrants. Next year, I was gonna work, for next fiscal year, FY26, I was gonna work with the legislators to get another earmark for the fireproof of town records.
And I feel like we did something a couple of years back with Ryan.
Yeah, It has to do with what's stored upstairs, not what's stored downstairs.
Okay,
And
okay, so I'm
that's-
thinking of,
Yeah, there
I'm
was,
thinking of
yeah.
what he, because we gave him some money
Yeah.
for something.
So this came from him to us, so
Okay.
it's not
So
like
this is
we're
more of a-
inventing this, yeah, this is
Okay.
just, all of these, by the way, were brought to us by other boards or
Yeah,
departments.
yeah.
I'm gonna give this for your records, but the final page of this report, which is what the framework for what capital planning is gonna tell the town in the report, is a list of 28 capital requests that we have. Pretty detailed list. We put it into a 5-year grid. We really just pulled some numbers out of the hat, and we're gonna start working on organizing this list so that have something far more effective when we get to the town meeting. But at this stage of the game, this is a really good roadmap for
Yeah.
grants. I mean, if you've got somebody that's working on grants, that's where you want to look at these things here. If it's on this list, it's important because somebody in town has thought it was.
Okay.
We didn't put any of these on the list, these came from other
From
departments.
departments, yeah. I remember you asking all the departments.
Yeah. So anyhow, the only, somewhere along the line, I think, and it's in final comments, and I'll just paraphrase this, it's a dynamic list, many items are gonna move around and move out, and new items will definitely come. We think this might be a good roadmap for grant application. If we see anything in the budget where we can find some grant services money put aside, that would be the right thing to do now, because this list is just sizable.
Didn't we put in for a grant writer?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
FY '26.
Right,
Yep.
okay.
Yeah, I'm
We're
gonna
still
give-
waiting, we don't
Yeah.
I'll
have
give
it.
each
No,
of you
but
that
we're-
report.
We
This-
diligently work on it.
This will get,
Do you need
this will be
Yeah.
one for Justine too.
Thank you.
And we'll get this, obviously, this is what we're thinking. We're gonna take the next 2 months to finalize this and then give a report to the town, but anything that gets done in advance, we'll just make it look like we're working together to try to make the town a better place. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Any other comments on that?
We should think about not to set up another committee unthinkingly, but the police station is stuck, and we need to think of something to do about that.
Isn't that what the capital planning committee does?
That's what the capital planning committee does, and says that this is important.
Right, but they also line up projects, engineer drawings, stuff like that. So wouldn't that fall in the same wheelhouse as capital planning
Well,
committee?
if the select board doesn't want to set up a blue ribbon committee for this, then it'll devolve to the capital planning committee.
Well, I'm just asking the question because it seems like it's redundant. The roles and responsibilities,
A
my
little bit,
understanding.
We kind of thought it would be
You're
tricky
pulling-
enough. So far, it's been very complicated getting through it, but
Okay,
I mean, I like the fact that there's someone from the planning board or master planning committee, obviously a police representative, member at large, the select board,
If I
finance.
can add to that, we're just trying to get some advocacy going on this thing, so the most important part is that we say, yeah, let's put ourselves on a deadline of 100 days, just to figure out what does the police department look like 5 years from now, and how do we
Right.
build a roadmap to get there?
Are we working, 'cause
Just to touch on that, so myself and Mr. Fleming, we worked together and we met with Congressman McGovern's office because we wanted to at least put it on their radar too. So they did give us some options. We're just waiting for like their pool of money to open up. I really think before a committee is set up that we should talk to the police department and like the police chief and
Yeah.
lieutenant and just kind of see where their head's at.
Okay.
That's just my 2 cents. But I mean, if the capital planning committee wants to work on some of it too, I think that,
Yeah.
I just don't know if I see another benefit of adding another committee.
But yeah,
I mean,
I get it, like
Okay.
the committee on top of committee on top
Yeah.
of committee. So let's see what McGovern's office comes up with and have a conversation with, do you want to have that conversation
yeah, I
with?
think-
By the way, the police department, we've shared this with them
Yeah.
already, so
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
nothing new to them.
Yeah, okay.
did I miss anything you think we should add, Eric?
No, but I guess I might suggest if you didn't want to do another committee, you could just empower the capital plan committee to do that with the ability to bring in somebody from the PD, maybe another ad hoc. It could be sort of a subcommittee of the capital plan committee.
Oh, sorry, I meant our meeting, if there was anything you thought that the board should know about our meeting.
No, I don't think so.
No, it's not.
They're on board, it's just all a matter of
Yeah.
funding.
Timing.
Yeah, I don't hate the idea of what Eric just said, kind of like a subcommittee,
Yeah.
as opposed to one more committee.
Sure.
That once like something exciting's done, then there's no members on it and you're searching for people to fill it. Whereas if you just had meetings that were specifically maybe for this cause, and then you call in those,
Right,
you know.
exactly.
Right,
I think that was the whole purpose of
Yeah.
that recommendation,
Yeah.
was to make sure that we separated from the activities that the capital planning committee is really
Yeah.
here for.
I agree with
This
that.
needs to have some community involvement,
Yeah.
and that gave you the opportunity to say, just keep doing what you're doing, or
Yeah.
do it a different way. That's
yeah, I
your
think,
prerogative. We're just
I
advising.
think I like the subcommittee idea, like, not to add to
It's
more
okay with me.
committees.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
okay.
works.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, go ahead. Liz?
Probably the board does not know, but for approximately the last decade, my sister and I were the keeper of the record room. The vault downstairs is fireproof.
Right.
If people keep the door closed, okay, which has been a problem that, you know, notoriously people have not kept the door closed. I don't know how many years ago, there was a new racking system put in there so that records could be sorted. Then it happened during the COVID thing. We never got around to sorting everything by department down in that vault. However, there was a lot of space in that vault for certain records to come down from upstairs, such as payroll records, the things that have to be kept, that are on the state's list of you know,
Must
what
be,
has
yep.
to be kept. But there's a fair amount of room down in there now with the new racking system that a lot of those records can be protected, but there isn't enough space to protect everything that's up there.
Right.
One other thing that we got from our discussions with the town clerk was that there's a lot of record retention rules that they could apply, so that maybe half that stuff upstairs might be thrown out because they're no longer needed. So
Right.
once you kind of pare that down,
Right.
then you know what's critical to save and what's not critical.
We
Understandable.
were in the process of, we had gotten through all of the old records, and we were, there were certain departments who said, Jen, she says, please don't throw this out. There were some other ones from the treasurer and the collector that said, please don't throw these out. So those were being retained. We were just about getting to the point where we could start with this like a 3 to 5 year retention. We were, and then COVID happened, and now I don't have access to the room, so I can't go in there. And I know it became a dumping ground for junk during COVID.
Well,
So I would have to go in there and try to figure out what's going on.
okay. Did I see, Bill?
Thank you. Back to the police station needs for a minute. I wonder if along the way to seeing what might solve that problem, there'll also be consideration of the healthcare facility need, and even the fire department, some sort of public
Safety.
safety complexes. I mean, some towns have gone that way with grants from more than one place. I don't know whether
It would be lovely if we
We'd
could
be
get a
looking
grant
at
for that.
together, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, so I hope someone from healthcare task force or whatever would
Yeah,
also
I
be
think we would-
part of this.
I think when we reach out to places like that, it's always probably, that's our dream, would be, you know, a public safety complex. So then we have to go from there. Okay. Vacancy on the Paige Memorial Library Board of Trustees. We got a letter from Ryan asking us to give the okay to put that on the upcoming election due to James Barn resigning.
Yes, ma'am.
So we just, they have to, he comes to us and then we say, yes, we'll allow that to go on the ballot for the May election, well, the 2025 annual election.
And an expired
term expiring 2026. So it would just be for the year.
I'd like to move that we do that.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Discussion on the Calvin Paige building. Do we have we heard back on an RFP?
So I am still working on that. I did talk to Catherine Klein from KP Law. She did provide a, what the heck was it called? A land development agreement that
Okay.
we had talked about would be a good idea.
Yep.
So I still have to put together the full RFP with the land development
Okay.
stuff. So that will be on the agenda for the next meeting.
Okay. Okay, so, and I will say that, as we're moving through these motions, we are definitely only going to be looking at one building at a time. Liz, just to give you, we want to see this process through to see what it is and how we can navigate it before we consider any of the other properties. So just so everyone has a heads up, that's what we decided at our last meeting, that we would kind of take this slowly and, you know, work with this group. So bear with us, we are working on it, and hopefully, so the 24th, do you think we'd have the RFP
Done.
done
Done.
and ready to go? Ready to roll? So,
Yes.
okay,
And the RFP requires,
go ahead, go ahead, Warren.
requires us to fill it in, or are you filling it in and we're signing it? Is it a?
So it would be a
What do
request
you need from us?
So it would be a request for proposal, and it will spell out what
What
we're
we-
looking for from you.
So it would be like the one from 2019, that similar?
But tweaked, yes,
But tweaked.
yes,
We would
with the
then-
land development agreement too.
And then we'd have a certain amount of time to get it back to you.
Correct.
And at that
Yes.
point,
Then we would vote
We'd
on it.
look at
That,
it.
yep,
Yes.
and, you know, if anyone else wanted to, you know,
submit an RFP.
they could.
Okay.
And then we would look at them, it would be like a bid opening, right?
Yep,
Is that
so
what, so
it
it
would
would be, you know,
A public bid opening. and-
however many came, you know, we would then approach it. One second, I just
Yeah.
want to finish answering. And then we would go from there.
Similar to the last RFP.
Correct.
Just put out there and
Yes,
Yes.
whoever filled it in.
Correct.
And turned it in.
Yes.
Okay.
yes.
If I
Sir,
could just ask for a clarification. You're developing an RFI for request for information, or you're actually requesting bids?
proposals, correct,
So you're, okay, so you're putting out for actual proposals with budgets?
correct.
Okay.
Well, yes, whatever is listed in the proposal. We haven't seen it yet, so I can't
Still working.
I can't
on it.
say exactly what's in it.
So you're looking for RFP, you're going to put out an RFP and you're looking for responses?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
For that one building.
Right, for the one building. Yeah, no, I
Correct.
got that.
Yes,
I'm just,
okay.
I'm looking at the flow of information
Yes,
here.
yeah, okay. Liz?
Well, can I have some clarification, because we're on the agenda for the next meeting
So-
regarding.
Right, so again, that may get pushed off. That's why I'm saying, bear with us as we navigate through this. We're gonna tackle one building at a time, just see how it goes.
The question I have is, what are we talking on a time frame? Because.
I can't tell you that. I don't, we're trying to work through this one to see how it goes. I don't have a timeline for you,
I'm
Liz.
I'm asking for clarification, because the RFPs were written before on all three of the buildings. They were ready to be going out years ago, okay?
Right, years ago.
There shouldn't be anything different
It is
on an.
It is gonna be different, yes, it is.
Yeah, but I'm saying is the bones of them are relatively simple. You know, where they
They're
were
all
already
being,
there.
they're all being looked at. I mean, and again, we're starting with one. So we're not even jumping the gun yet
Okay,
for any of the
but
other ones.
I'm asking for clarification, because I'm looking at a time frame. Because.
I don't have that answer for you. I
Well,
don't.
if you put out an RFP, how long are you going to be asking for a time frame to have proposals come back? And how long is that all gonna be worked through? Because I'm telling you right up, the center school is in dire need of help immediately, and has been for years.
They all are. Every
Well-
one of these buildings are in dire need, Liz.
Yeah, but
So-
that one's got a hole in the roof that's coming through.
Okay, they're all in dire need. And
So-
so we're gonna do one at a time, and we're gonna see how it goes. And I'm just trying to be straightforward with you so that you know that. Okay. Do we have at least a turnaround?
We at least, once the board votes, and I can put it out there. It'll be probably 3 weeks.
Okay.
For people to submit
Okay.
back.
And then what, like another 2 weeks for the board to review it?
No, so then we, at the 3 weeks, we
We
set a
would
date
open-
for a public bid opening. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to.
Right, no, that's okay, you can explain it.
Then we
I
set
was
up a
gonna say
date
the same thing.
for a public bid opening. Someone from the board can join if you want, and then, it's kind of like a rating system. But I can go through all of that, once we get a little bit closer.
Yeah.
So my question is, after the bid opens, and, you know, they have their plan or their intention of what they want to do with the building, it comes in front of this board
Yes.
to decide.
Correct.
Yes.
And that's what I'm saying, what is that, another 2 weeks after a bid opening, possibly?
Whatever the next meeting is, I don't know.
Well,
Yeah,
Right.
roughly, so
yeah.
just say
Right.
2
Yeah.
weeks.
So we would have the feedback from that
Right.
opening.
And
Like
then
you
we
said, it's
decide.
like it's, you know, I mean, you must have gone
Yeah,
to
no, I-
public bid opening,
yeah.
yeah, okay. So they're kind of scored,
Yeah,
you know, based on the information that we've requested, maybe anything else additional that they've given. And then we would take all that information
and make a
and
decision.
make a decision,
Right.
correct?
Yeah.
Roughly within 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Because we have a meeting or something.
Right.
Yeah, okay, that's all,
Yeah.
that's my question.
Okay, perfect. Okay, does that answer your questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Stan?
Yeah, do you know enough at this time to say more about the purpose and intent of the land development agreement, adding that to the project?
I wouldn't feel comfortable at this point, going into anything without, I just got it today.
Yeah.
But does the board know anything about this yet, the land development?
No, we're just hearing about it. It's to protect the town, though.
I'm not disputing
Right.
why you might want it, but I'm just wondering what now that you've introduced the protection, what is the concern?
If it didn't go where we thought it was gonna go and it didn't succeed, that maybe the town have,
If it sat there in the exact same condition,
Right.
hypothetically.
For
couple
3 years.
Yeah,
the town would have maybe the right to,
To retain,
To retain
that's
it.
why the land
Correct.
development agreement.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not
Correct.
comfortable
Yeah,
giving details,
okay.
but something like that.
yeah, I think that's more what, you know, what we're looking at.
Yeah,
And I think you guys said that, if it didn't move forward, you know,
Yeah.
so,
Could be done very soon.
yeah. So we're gonna get there, okay.
yeah, thank
All
you.
right. Yeah, you're
Thank
welcome, yep.
And
Oh, go ahead.
is there, just at that second meeting, if you've reviewed them all and
Yep.
there is a decision made, does it then need to go to Attorney General's, or is there other steps that maybe we don't know about yet, that, or is the...
That I don't know,
is
that
the-
would be a question for
okay.
Yeah, we
Kathleen, yeah. I think,
I thought that was already asked by...
After the-
Of the town council, that...
Well, the town
I think
council-
that's what this
sorry.
is,
Okay.
Town council will have to get involved if the board votes for X, Y, and Z to whatever. So at that point, like, their town council would step up and,
Tell what else you need to do.
it's just like any other purchase and sale agreement,
Yeah.
right? I mean, there's, lawyers get involved unfortunately, and whether we like it or not,
Right.
to protect both of our assets, so. Okay. All right. Anything else that you can, any other questions you can think of? No? Okay. All right. So discussion and vote on Fleming Family Foundation donation?
can I just apologize to the board that I put it under old business when I should have put it under new business?
Okay.
That was all, and that's my fault.
Okay, no worries.
fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
No worries.
Eric, if you wanna,
So I guess it's I don't know if it's a new policy or what, but in order to donate money to the town, you gotta put it out here to you guys. So I'm just, apparently there
It's
needs...
always been that policy, but maybe sometimes it just gets snuck in and we don't, yeah.
As it should. So I guess we need to create 2 line items on the budget. One thing that I would like to try to contribute to is this business of fireproofing and digitizing town records. I've been working with Ryan. We're looking at different pieces of equipment to do that, scanners, whatnot. So we need a line item for that. I haven't specified a dollar amount yet, but I'll throw something in there. The other one is the planning board clerk is close to maxing out the budget between the zoning rewrite and some of the other stuff that
Yeah.
we've been dealing with. The planning board office upstairs is in dire need of reorganization of files. Lucinda's happy to do it, she just needs to get paid. So I'm gonna throw something in that line item.
Okay.
So it's up to you guys to create the items or the line items, and we'll make it happen.
I think we can just put that under the planning board clerk item, or would you feel more comfortable doing two separate line items?
Definitely two separate line items.
Okay.
Certainly for the equipment.
Yeah, no, that would be a separate one, but I didn't know with,
There's already a line item for historical document restoration fund or something like that. Ryan knows it. There's an account number.
so maybe we could use that.
So we talked to Lori D'Olio, our town accountant, and she had talked about putting a separate, for the planning board one.
Making one
Yeah.
separate, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you.
No grants?
What's that?
No grants?
You mean like something ongoing? Is
You
that
changed your mind.
What? No, I haven't.
You should do that more often.
Make it
Thank
easy.
you, Eric.
Thank you.
Very generous.
Next time I'll just do it and not come here. How's that?
Do you guys want to vote to approve his?
Yeah.
I move that we do the line item for the equipment, for the digitalization of the records.
And also the planning board clerk.
I can't vote.
Well,
Yeah.
no, that's why I'm
Yeah.
adding it.
Yeah.
Oh, good, thank you.
Any other questions or concerns? All in favor? Aye. Or do you want to do one at a time so you're not voting on?
Doesn't matter. Well, I mean, yeah, sure.
So why don't we just vote on the fireproofing and the digitizing of, yep.
I so move.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And now we'll vote on the planning board clerk increase in salary with the donation.
To do this
Yeah.
work, of
Correct.
digitizing the records.
Yeah.
So you have to second it.
So, second, yeah, Eric won't. Good.
Right.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Madam Chair?
Yep.
There was one thing added to the agenda that was posted in a timely manner, but
Yep.
it's just not in the agenda before you, the discussion and vote on governor's bill
Yep.
to ratify the debt exclusion.
Perfect. No, me neither.
fine
It was
with it.
posted, but one that she printed just didn't have it on there.
That's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, we'll vote.
Make a motion to,
Make a motion to vote on the governor's bill?
Second.
all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So after the meeting, I have a couple things for you guys
To sign?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Discussion and vote on pilot policy?
So in your packets, I attached the red line version, and then I attached like a kind of a cleaner version so you could see them both. If I missed something or got something incorrect based on your last meeting with the finance committee, I would obviously be happy to fix it, but at least I wanted you guys to see what was moved, what was taken out, what was changed, and then I have a clean version as well.
There's no contribution structure in this, and when we discussed this in 2 working meetings, it was very clear and we agreed on nonprofits covering their impact fees to the town.
I did make copies of your email, so.
Do you want that?
Sure.
So if that's something that needs to go back in there, I can certainly add it.
Well, there's nothing
Because
in
I
this
thought we
policy.
agreed that the policy was to be just a
guideline.
a guideline, correct?
Correct.
And that each nonprofit would be approached individually
Right.
to negotiate, and that's why
Right,
we
and
wanted.
we have a separate agreement
taken
per
out.
each
Right.
nonprofit. But
The way I
we also
remember
have to have a guideline for what are they contributing, what is the structure for? And we agreed to that on like emergency calls, police, infrastructure, stuff like that. We did in 2 meetings. I mean,
Well, when we met here with the FinCom,
Yeah.
we did pull that contribution structure out of there.
no, we requested it, and I didn't agree with it, and I said why we need it. We need a guideline, and we agreed on impact fees.
Being that this is all voluntary, I wouldn't have a problem with anything that doesn't say shall,
Okay,
and just say may.
okay.
You know, I think if we make a policy that we can't legally enforce, I don't see the reason for it. You know,
Well,
I
as it
understand-
is, nonprofits should be covering their impact fees.
I think nonprofits do,
Well,
personally.
yet, we've yet to see any billing done from the town or payments received
And
for
the
such billing.
arguments go around that it's not all monetary,
Correct.
you know, that there are benefits.
Again, statements have been made in the public that says we bill these impact fees, and we don't. And so that's why there should be some structure in this policy. Otherwise, what's the point of the policy if there is no structure as far as money?
If we can agree that we're gonna talk to, we're gonna meet with, we're gonna have relationship with all of these nonprofits in all their forms, then I don't see a reason for a policy at all.
Well, there's a policy, or we need a policy, so things aren't done like, and it's transparent, it's in the public eye, so people can see. I mean, you're asking the taxpayers to pay these fees, like, where is the representative, like, for the taxpayer? You sit there and say, you know, there's no need for this. There is absolutely a need for this.
Well, disagree.
Well, that's your point of view,
I know.
and you're fine. But I disagree because we agreed in 2 working meetings that there would be impact fees, there would be a contribution structure in this policy.
I remember that structure coming out.
I do too.
No, he
Because we
requested
didn't
it
want
the
the-
very first thing,
we
3
didn't-
and 4 to go, and I said absolutely not.
So if we change it to
May,
may, every single place that it says shall.
okay?
I mean, the last sentence doesn't even need to be in there because it's already in there.
I get that, but
But it is, it's already in, it's definitely already in there. It's the review and adjustment period.
okay. So we can just put a line through it. Well, some of these, impact fees, the public safety services, police, fire, EMS, road infrastructure maintenance, water, sewer, waste management, emergency and hazard response, and other
And I think
direct
some
or
of
indirect
this, some of
costs to
this
the
you can
town.
figure out, but a lot of this you can't, it's gonna be very hard to put a value on.
Well-
Road and infrastructure maintenance,
There was no problem in 2005.
there's a hard, I mean, obviously,
Well, and that's also why I just figured we should do a revenue-based, like, people are dead set against revenue. I mean, the state says, they have no problem putting 3% on marijuana to cover impact fees.
That's out.
they don't,
Well,
they don't even.
I'm just saying,
They
that's an
won't even let
example.
us do that because.
No, I'm just saying
there's-
as an example.
Well,
The
but the
state has
state,
already
the
determined.
state stepped in and said that we can't do that because we can't treat them
I'm not talking about our
differently.
facility right here, I'm
But
talking
I'm
about
saying-
overall. There's still a 3% sales
We
tax.
can't
What's
treat them
not
any
allowed
differently
is-
than anyone else in town. That's why they changed. the
Right, you
statute.
can't make them buy you things and say contribute and do this and do that. But there is a 3% sales tax on that.
Well, and there's a local tax
Right.
that we,
I'm just saying, it does exist. It's not, it doesn't exist. It does exist.
they're not a nonprofit.
I'm giving you the example of the state came up with the 3% to cover impact fees.
Right.
The state.
And then took it away.
No, they didn't take it away, Eric.
We can't,
On retail, there's a 3% thing
Only
that
on
goes to the
retail.
on
community.
retail.
Only
Right.
on retail.
It's a lot different than when it's.
Well, my point is, it's there to cover impact fees to the town, community, etc.
And I'm fine with charging for nuisance calls, too many calls to anybody. There's a man down in Wheelwright in the old days, we used to have fire calls on him every week. He should have been charged for nuisance calls, I agree. You know, if there's too many calls, then it's wear and tear on the engine, it costs us to pay.
Plus the town fire truck,
It does, yeah.
and the town's paying, the citizens are paying for that fire truck.
Yep.
So are we good if we change everything to May
It's okay with me.
on this?
Yep.
Have you read the rest of it?
Yep.
And take out the last sentence?
Yep, I have my notes.
Yeah, okay. Do you want to vote on it? Do you want to make a motion? Like
Yeah, I mean, if everybody's fine with it.
huh?
Can you read the policy into the motion so we know?
Read the entire policy?
Well, the changes anyway, I mean,
I'll read it.
thank you.
The town of Hardwick is home to and welcomes a diverse mix of property owners, farmers, residential homeowners, commercial businesses, government entities, and charitable and educational nonprofits. The vibrant and growing nonprofit sector both contributes to and benefits the overall quality of life in our town. Our town provides a variety of critical services to all segments of the community, whether they're residents, businesses, or nonprofits. While these services provide benefit to all, funding for town departments and services relies heavily on property tax revenue. In order to maintain a high standard of municipal services that Hardwick has historically provided, the Select Board believes that all property owners should contribute a fair and reasonable share towards the cost of municipal services. A payment in lieu of taxes partnership contribution approach is a forward-thinking mutual benefit that reinforces the nonprofit's role as a partner in the community, linking its financial scale to its share of community responsibility and charitability per its tax-exempt status. This policy shall apply to all nonprofits that are classified as exempt from taxation under GL Chapter 59, Section 5, Clause 3. It should be noted that not all nonprofits qualify for exemption from real estate taxes under Clause 3. Policy statement. Tax-exempt nonprofit institutions benefit significantly from Hardwick's public safety infrastructure and other municipal services. To ensure these services remain sustainable and equitable, the town of Hardwick seeks voluntary contributions from tax-exempt nonprofit organizations structured as a payment in lieu of taxes, town partnership contribution. The pilot TPC recognizes the critical role nonprofits play, while also acknowledging their financial responsibility to the communities they serve. 2. Overview and goals. The town of Hardwick's pilot TPC policy aims to promote fiscal responsibility, distribute the cost of municipal services fairly and equitably among all beneficiaries, including tax-exempt institutions, support community sustainability, establish a consistent funding mechanism for public safety, infrastructure, and community development, foster positive partnership, encourage collaborative relationships with nonprofits that align with the town's value, benefiting both the organization and the town residents. And then back in would be the contribution structure. Nonprofits operating in the town may pay an annual contribution based on their cost, their presence and activities imposed on municipal services. Impact fee assessment. Impact fees may be determined by the nonprofit's use of town resources, including but not limited to public safety services, police, fire, and EMS, roads and infrastructure maintenance, water, sewage, and waste management, emergency and hazard response, other direct or indirect costs of the town. The Select Board may set the contribution amount based on data from the town's departments reflecting actual costs incurred. And then it would move on to review and adjustment period, a biannual review. The pilot TPC rate and contribution structure will be reviewed every 2 years by the Select Board, taking into account changes in the town's cost for public services, future expansion and land capacity, economic conditions affecting nonprofit operations. Regular updates, a full policy review will occur every 5 years to ensure alignment with the community needs and fiscal goals. Then in-kind contributions and community benefits. Tax-exempt nonprofits may propose an in-kind contribution as part of their pilot TPC agreement, including scholarships for local students, volunteer hours, or infrastructure improvements. Any proposed in-kind contribution must be documented in a formal agreement and quantifiable and trackable. And then partnership criteria. Hardwick will prioritize partnerships with nonprofits that create local jobs and stimulate the town's economy, preserve the town's rural character while supporting sustainable development, directly benefit town residents through services such as education, healthcare, or social programs. Public reporting. The Select Board will provide an annual report on pilot TPC funds collected and their allocation to essential town services, ensuring accountability and transparency. Tax-exempt nonprofits that participate in this program are also encouraged to report publicly on their community contributions. Pilot TPC agreement terms. Duration and renewal. The agreement will typically span 5 years with review at the end of each term to accommodate any shifts in service needs, property values, or nonprofit contributions. Flexibility. Tax-exempt nonprofits demonstrating significant investment in Hardwick may be eligible for longer-term agreements based on their projected community service contributions. Use of pilot funds. Pilot TPC funds will be allocated to capital projects and capital stabilization. Attracting aligned nonprofits. The town will promote this pilot TPC policy as part of its economic development efforts, aiming to attract mission-driven organizations that align with Hardwick's commitment to community development, sustainability, and rural preservation. And then policy adoption and review. This policy will take effect upon vote of the Select Board. It will be subject to review every 5 years to adapt to changing community and fiscal needs. This revised policy establishes a structured, collaborative approach that balances the financial needs of the town with valuable contributions of nonprofit organizations, creating a sustainable partnership model for the future of Hardwick and all who are fortunate to call it home. That's it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Was there, I thought there was something mentioned in some of the past meetings about an exemption for small level nonprofits, either in terms of the amount of property they have or even the number of employees or business or revenue or something. I didn't hear anything in this about anyone being exempted simply because they're very small or they're nonprofit. Like some of our own entities in town, historical, farmers market, whatever we had.
Right, if you don't mind, I'll answer this question,
Go ahead.
Madam Chair. In the working meeting, it was decided to remove that exemption. So we took it out.
As we took out other pieces.
Right, but there was exemptions in there to say, you know, so the criteria, it didn't seem, you know, flexible or, you know, and also an example was brought up, if a small nonprofit comes in and let's say they have a 10-acre farm and it's an animal rescue and they're getting out constantly and the police are rounding up their animals and there's a lot of cost involved with that. If they were exempt, because they would fall under the exemption. So we removed it, decided to remove it. If that helps.
Kelly, can I ask a question?
Liz?
I did not hear anything in there that, I guess, addressed fairness. As somebody who formed a nonprofit, okay, and had said that I'm willing to pay the taxes on the building, say my taxes are, if it was a regular building and I wasn't a nonprofit, would be $10,000. If I say, okay, I'm perfectly willing to pay you 50%, I take that on, but if and don't take this wrong, Eagle Hill, but, you know, Eagle Hill says, well, we're only willing to pay 1% of the total amount of the tax bill. Now, there's a big difference in fairness there, that I'm willing to put out 50% of the
So
taxes
each
versus somebody.
nonprofit will be dealt with individually. That's what that comes down to. There,
Right.
there's not fairness in a contract. You just, each individual nonprofit
Shouldn't
will
there be some kind of
be
fairness
looked
in
at
there?
individually. So if we're approached by you, or we approach you to talk about your nonprofit, it's gonna be a much different conversation than somebody else.
I
Each one
understand
will be
that.
looked at separately.
I understand that, but if, what I'm saying is if I'm willing to pay 50% of the taxes.
Then that's
Because
great.
I want to,
Right.
and
On
somebody else.
on one building.
Right, but if somebody.
But if
else is
somebody else
fine-
owns 30 buildings and they're gonna pay 1%,
It's not fair.
that's what you think.
Fairness ain't in it.
There's not,
Yeah.
that's not how we look at contracts. Yes, sir.
I just, a question about determination of impact for whatever. That will be strictly determined by the department submitting their proposed impact? Is there
If
appeal
it's
to that?
quantifiable, right.
No, you're talking about in-kind contributions.
Well, no,
Oh.
We're
so
talking
what,
about impact fees.
I'm saying, yeah,
That's
impact
what I
fees,
just
so,
said.
so,
That's
right,
what I'm
impact,
talking about, if
yeah,
it's quantifiable.
right.
Like, so it's gonna be, you know, if the police get several calls to a location,
Mhm.
that's quantifiable.
Oh, no, and I
Yeah,
understand that. I'm
right.
thinking along the lines of, if the police say, we believe that your event or organization potentially has this impact. We think we should have 5 police officers there and you should pay for them, versus a historical look back that says that there hasn't been a need. Where does that sort of determination, is there an appeals process for those
That's not,
determinations?
but that's not part of the, if someone's having an event and they need officers, that's not what this policy is for. I don't,
What I'm saying is if, for example, if you have the Hardwick Fair
right,
and the police say, we believe your impact is such that we should have, that you should have 10 police
so that's
officers.
between the fair and the police department. That has nothing to do with this policy.
Okay.
None,
That's
none.
the special event.
Yeah, special-
Correct.
Okay.
That doesn't have any bearing on this policy, right. So impacts would be actual calls that they responded to
Okay.
that are very, you know, we had to, you know, the fire department sent out a truck plus 3, you know, firefighters.
Right.
You can put a value on that. You know, that would be an actual impact.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Bill?
If I may. In practice, if I heard you right, it sounds as though at the beginning of a 5-year agreement period, a nonprofit would be asked basically to agree to make a pilot payment in a certain amount. And at that time, the beginning of that period, they'd be saying, well, this is what our impact's likely to be like and so forth, and they'd figure something out. I think the quantifiable part of it came in when it was said, if there were quantifiable services provided to the town, then that could be used as part of
In
that
part,
dollar
in
payment
kind.
for those 5
Yep.
years. I didn't hear anything about if there's more problems that you know, that
No,
would
it-
come up until the end of the 5-year period. It was renewed.
And then it could be, then it would be looked at again,
So
correct?
in
Unless we
practice-
knew, unless there was actual, you know, some, you know, actual
Right.
calls or, correct. At the beginning, you know, it's gonna be meeting with each nonprofit and all of them and having a conversation.
Okay.
And again, it's a voluntary program.
Did we ever get a number of nonprofits? And I know that, I don't think you're gonna be going after the state with all the
I mean, we can
The
certainly
state
try.
land,
We
the
do get,
churches,
we
so-
do get money for that on
There's
on the
only 2 or
church,
3, are
but,
there not, that are really
there's,
looking at?
there's actually 152 properties.
properties.
Correct.
How many
Yeah.
How many
entities?
entities?
Yeah, I mean,
We have that numbered, I just don't
I
know
know,
off the top of my head.
How many
I had it.
conversations do you think?
It's
you would
about
be
a dozen
having?
and a half.
Yeah, there's
Alright.
probably like 12 to
Yes.
15 different, and we're one of them, like the town, you know, the town of Hardwick is some of those properties on that list,
It's more than you'd think.
so, it is.
33% of the land in Hardwick is owned by nonprofits. And that number includes the state.
A lot of that is the state,
That includes a bunch of land that came to us for the Guadalupe.
Yeah.
right?
yeah.
You're looking for a number.
Well, it's what, 80%, 20%. That's
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, either we're gonna vote on this or we're
Right.
gonna move on, so,
Make a motion to adopt this policy with the amendments.
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Moving on. Minute meetings. Meeting minutes. From December
Sounds good
16th.
to me.
How do you do?
I'm fine with that. I mean, I read it. I don't have any questions or anything.
I think there's one thing that let me just,
Now's the time.
yeah, hold on.
There's an error on the first page. Instead of KK, it says CC.
No, well,
Yeah.
he was here, so,
That was his meeting.
That was his
right,
meeting.
okay, so,
Yeah.
okay,
So that has to be changed.
okay, just, so that's fine. Because I did question that, but I was like, oh, well, maybe she was noting that they were opening their meeting.
Okay.
But let me just,
No, but I don't take we don't take the finance committee's meeting minutes.
No.
Lauren does.
no, but I didn't know if she added it just as a, because they were, you know, joint
Not
meeting.
easy, is it?
That's what I'm gonna relook at this last joint meeting.
And you do great.
No, maybe, I don't know, I just thought there was something that, no, I'm good with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mark, you good?
You happy with it?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yep.
Thank-
I move that we accept the minutes for December 16th
With KK instead of CC.
with KK instead of, with the amendments, right?
all right. A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And your town administrator report.
Boy. So staff were trained on the new phone system. We have not fully gone over to the new system because we're having an issue with Comcast not giving up our numbers. So the phone companies are fighting it out. As we talked about earlier, we're working on getting quotes for tree removal behind town hall and quotes for the front door. So that's ongoing. As you know, I've been spending the majority time compiling the FY26 budget. Met with the finance committee, their first meeting. We had a complete streets kickoff meeting with the highway superintendent. I did have a call with the superintendent at Pathfinder to talk about their FY26 budget. From my understanding, Quabbin isn't really gonna have anything to us until the middle of March. But working with Pathfinder, it looks like that's gonna be a lot sooner. We posted the vacant truck driver labor position, not noted on here, but we also posted the working foreman position, and tomorrow we will be posting the treasure collector position. We started contract discussions with employees that have contracts that expire at the end of the fiscal year. And as we noted earlier, Sarah Hunter is working 1 to 2 days a week in the treasure collector's office. Select board chair and myself had our first meeting with the police union on their new contract for FY26. I met with Meg Height and Julie Marquette on the story map project, which is completed. We're ordering maps and everything,
Brochure, yeah,
brochures, and yeah,
yeah.
so.
That's a pretty cool project.
I had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, but it's cool.
Yeah.
It is cool. They did a great job. Meg did a great job. Held a monthly department head meeting. I've been meeting with the town clerk on the timing and scheduling for the annual town meeting. I completed a conflict of interest law training and did my monthly Wear Radio interview.
Did a great job, too.
Oh, thank you. I hate it. I really hate it. There's a lot of people this week I really want to recognize. I really want to recognize the Ware Fire Department and the Police Department and everyone that responded to the horrific fire on Church Street. They're real heroes, and they worked together and did a great job, both chiefs. 2 days after that, we had another really horrific police cop where one of our officers did get injured. So there's been a lot going on, and I want to recognize, you know, everything that they do for this community, because a lot of that people don't notice.
Yeah.
And no one would have
Absolutely.
known about the horrific call unless we bring it
Yeah.
up. So I also want to recognize Tina Grzowska in the treasurer collector's office. We've been down a treasurer collector, and she came in on Friday. She's just been working really hard and making sure that there's no gaps, and you know, everything's getting processed and out there.
Good.
So I want to recognize her as well. We're having a manager's training tomorrow for department heads and assistant department heads from 9:30 to 11:30 in this room. We also scheduled our meeting with the legislators and the towns that surround the Quabbin, all the key stakeholders on the Quabbin bill legislation that's been filed year after year. I've been working with Mr. Fleming on that as well, getting everyone in a room and advocate for it as a unit, and advocate the legislature to get it through the process. So that meeting is February 25th at 2:30 at Eagle Hill School, the trustee house. So we will be meeting on that. The board, you all got emails about that today. So that's all that I have for right now, I think.
Do we need to accept the resignation so that you can?
So I brought that up to the town clerk today, and he's like, it just needs to be received in my office, and he was like, it's more of a formality if you
Yeah.
want to. Like,
No,
by all means.
as long as we're covered and
Yep.
you can post for it tomorrow.
Tomorrow morning.
Thank you. Selectman Roundtable?
Back on the 7th, Mark Korzik and Ray Walker, the retired fire chief, and myself drove around, starting with a list that we got, I do believe, from Josh. He's acting, the present fire chief.
Right.
And we went all around Gilbertville, and we found I believe all fire hydrants, 46 of them. 8 of them are out of service. There are 5 domestic water hydrants, the yellow ones. But that's it. Some of them are out of service. Some of them, we found the switching, the valves, the sprinkler systems. We did good. It took a couple hours. So that's it.
Okay. Bill, do you have anything?
I'm good. I'm all set.
Do you have anything?
I'm good. No? I'm good. I don't think I have anything.
I move we adjourn.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We just have to sign some things.
Yes.
Okay.